I still feel because I'm not at the finish line yet. And that's what the whole thing about living
But
95
there
is. There
is
is no
no
finish line.
finish line.
Exactly.
There's no
And
finish
that's
line.
the point.
We are all evolving all the time. It's inevitable. And if you try to, you could try to stay the same, you could try to be different, but everybody, every single day is changing. And our thoughts and our things that we're exposed to, everything is evolving around us, everything. So it's just trying not to get to a finish line, in my opinion. It's just keep doing what you're doing that works.
Welcome back to another week of the Health, Tech, and Wellness Podcast. I'm John Adams, and I'm here with Crystal Nevedale again. And today we're going to talk about one of the hardest parts of making real change, whether it's losing weight, starting a business, or just changing your mindset. And it isn't the work itself that's the hard part. It's the tension of outgrowing the version of you that everybody else is used to seeing. It's the pressure to stay who you were because it's more comfortable for the people around you. And let me challenge you with this. A lot of times, they may not even care. It might be all in your head. Now, there is people out there who are going to give you the what for because you're changing, or say, oh, I know you're not going to be able to succeed. And they might even say it to your face. But a lot of times it's in our heads more than anything. So what we're really going to talk about today is identifying that pressure and just getting rid of that nagging feeling of imposter syndrome, because we all end up getting it. And why do we feel guilt over evolving, right? Why do we feel guilty over getting healthy? Why do we feel guilty over maybe you're quitting drinking and you're not going to go to the bar scene as much? Why do we feel guilty about that? So today I kind of want to talk about navigating those awkward conversations when people do truly try to pull you back into that old pattern, and how to start trusting that person that you're becoming today, right? So let me kind of dive into my own story here. I was always used to being the big guy, right? The overweight, jolly, every Christmas, hey, we need a Santa Claus. Hey, we know John, right? So I was always the guy who that was my idea, right? I was always the big guy. I was always just the overweight guy. And then when I started going through this and I started to lose the weight and I started to change my mindset, and I started to kind of change in my life, I still had those same people, some in my head and some to my face, where they kind of give you that guilt for succeeding. And maybe not that they're jealous, but okay, well, John doesn't go out and hang out with us anymore. He's not drinking like we used to, right? Or, man, I can't smoke around John anymore. He's not smoking, right? He's acting different. And they all kind of make you feel that way. And a lot of times it is in your head. But then the other thing, like I was talking about, is that imposter syndrome. So even though when I first started this, and I just did but a video on this for my other content channel that I do. But even after losing the 100 pounds, even after, reversing my type 2 diabetes, even after all of that, and then having people say, hey, John, you should start this podcast and kind of pay forward some of the things that you learned, that imposter syndrome still always kicked in, right? Because I was always like, I felt like a fraud, right? Because I'm not there yet. I'm not David Goggins. I'm not Tony Robbins. I'm not none of those people. I don't have the shiny degree hanging behind my desk. I'm not, ripped with a six pack. I'm still the guy on the mission. But I've succeeded at it for 3 years, and I know that it works for me. And there's times when I'll even be honest, I'm sitting editing the podcast, right? And maybe I had a couple pickles or whatever, and I'm feeling a little puffy, and I'm looking at myself in the screen, and I'm going, man, this guy's really talking about changing his life. It still hits me all the time. And then you have those people who will say, hey, are you still at that? Or, they just really hit you hard. And you feel like you're pretending to be this healthy person or this business owner or this, whatever you're trying to do. You always feel like you're in that case of pretending, right? So how do we get out of that? And how do you get yourself to understand that, you're not fake. You're not being fake, and you're not fake for changing. You're evolving. You're constantly, consistently growing towards that person that you need to be. And consistency eventually is going to focus your identity to catch up with those other actions, right? So that's what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about the imposter, right? And it's just the old version of you that's fighting for a seat at the table, but it doesn't feel worthy to be there, no matter what you've done. So this whole journey for me has been that way. I don't know about you, Crystal, but I know that when I started to, like, when I got down to 100, get down about 111 pounds is where I kind of settled in at, and I go up 5, come down 5. But I still feel like that same 311 pound guy, even though I know I'm succeeding. I know that I'm pushing through. I know that every time that I, hit my little thing on my arm back here, my blood sugar's great. I know that every time I go to the doctor, everything's great. They just check my cholesterol. It's lower than it's ever been. So I know every single thing that I'm doing is working, but yet I still feel, because I'm not at the finish line yet. And that's what the whole thing about living 95
But there
is. There is
is
no
no
finish
line.
Exactly.
There's no
And
finish
that's
line.
the point.
We are all evolving all the time. It's
Yep.
inevitable. And if you try to, you could try to stay the same, you could try to be different, but every single day is changing. And our thoughts and our things that we're exposed to, everything is evolving around us, everything.
Yep.
So it's just trying not to get to a finish line, in my opinion. It's just keep doing what you're doing that works.
Exactly. But how do you deal with those situations? Because I know what I do. I literally just live by example. But how do you deal with the situations when friends or family kind of try to pull you back into that old Crystal?
So what I do is I don't surround myself with those people. I have people that I know that see my vision, and they push me in the way of my vision. When I was starting my business, I had a particular person say to me, "So you mean to tell me you're giving up your full-time promised job for not even know if you're gonna be able to pay your rent?" I said, "Yep, that's exactly what I'm telling you." And that person was about 20 years my senior, and they could not wrap their head around it. But you know what? Then I have this other person, 10 years my senior, and she says, "You only have $200. Who cares? We'll figure it out." So who do you deal with? Like, you just have to choose who you're talking to. And sometimes you stay silent until you're where you want to be, and then let people ask you the question. Because sometimes they just pull you back down to where you don't need to be, and then you have to build yourself back up to get on the right direction again. So once you learn who those 1, 2, 3, 4 people are that are going to build you up, you stay with those people. You stay close to them. When you have an idea and you want to share with someone, those are who you call. You don't call negative Nancy over here and ask them her opinion, because they're never going to give you what you need. So it really is just trying to know where to get your information. If you're sad, you don't listen to a depressing story, right? If you're sad, you try to find something good. It's the same concept.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that we talked about that a couple episodes ago when I was talking about having those people when you're on this journey that are going to push you, the positive and the negative.
Mm-hmm.
I take that negative people and I use that as fuel. I mean, it is fuel. I try to prove and live my point in front of them. You want to tell me I can't do this? You're going to watch me succeed. Yeah. And that is a fire. Listen, I'll be honest. I didn't need the podcast to do what I did. I did it all on my own.
Right.
But I'll tell everybody out there, if you're looking to change something in your life, announce it to the world. Because where they're going to come at you and they're going to say, "Oh, you're not going to be able to." Use that as fuel. Show them, I'm not going to let your discomfort of my growth get in my way. I'm not going to fail because of you. A lot of times we will fail ourselves. We will find every excuse in the book not to get out of bed in the morning. We'll find every excuse in the book not to do something, not to do what we talked about the other day with the guitar out of the case moments, not to have the shoes ready, not to do we'll find those excuses to fail. But when people are looking at you and they're saying, John's not going to be able to do it. Crystal, you're leaving a nursing job to open a business. You're crazy. Use that as fuel. I do that on a regular basis. Look, I love my nephew dearly. We compete over stupid stuff. I don't compete. He competes. But I use that as fire. Like, I'm not going to let you watch me fail. I'm going to push and push and push. I'm going to build this business. I'm going to build this podcast. I'm going to help a lot of people. And I'm going to continue to get healthier and feel better. And use that as growth. And not in a negative way. Don't look at it negative. That's a positive thing. Use that to push yourself. When your growth makes other people uncomfortable, why do people want you to stay the same in the first place? It's usually because your light is kind of outshining them, and not to rub anything in anybody's face, but that's usually the case. But I'm not looking to brag.
They're just too scared to do anything that's off the cuff, and it's their own fear. And it's, sometimes you're the wish that they would have done that,
Right. Yeah. And I'm not talking about bragging. We don't want to brag, right? We want to live for ourselves, but at the end of the day, be happy about your success, right? There's nothing wrong with feeling good about your success.
Right.
There's nothing wrong. Look, because at the end of the day, we talked about this probably first or second episode when you came on board. We all plan, right? We've all got these huge dreams. We all want to lose weight. We all want to start a business. We all want to become a millionaire by 30. We all want to do everything, but we all want that, but nobody is going to step forward and do that. So when you, Mr. or Mrs. Listener, when you are looking at starting this health journey, when you're looking at starting a business, when you're looking at just changing anything in your life, your mindset, just to make yourself feel better, your life better for you and your family, don't let somebody else hold you back. When you decide to start just because they didn't, don't worry about that. Start. Because once you start that first small step, it's just going to continue to snowball. Look, when I decided to write my novel, okay, I thought to myself, okay, do I talk about it? Do I put it out there to people? At the end of the day, I was thrilled. I never thought that it would be written. My niece, Angie, I talked to her for 20 some, well, it was 12 years that I sat on the thing, but it felt like forever about, hey, I really want to write this. Can you give me some opinions on some things? I talked to Ray's wife, Nikki. Hey, for 12 some years of my life, it was just always in the back burner. And I was talking about it. I want to do this. I'm talking about it, but I never did it. And then the moment I started, I made sure to say, hey, I'm writing. Because what did that do? It kept me writing. It kept me sitting down every day and pushing, because now I'm going to see this thing through. Don't ever let that imposter syndrome, don't ever let that change stop you from, don't let other people's not moving stop your movement, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
So I dealt with a situation many years ago, and I was probably the healthiest I had ever been. And I had someone in my life who repeatedly would say things like, that's all you do. You always just want to go to the gym, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And now in hindsight, I realized that person wasn't healthy in their life and with their choices, and wasn't happy with their choices. So instead of enjoying my succeeding and me doing well, because I was struggling, even though it looked like I was just succeeding, I was struggling to build habits and show up for myself and do all those things. And all this person could see of me was that I was always at the gym. But so a lot of times people are just doing it because of their own lack. It's not anything you are or aren't doing. It's really hard, because you do have people that, unfortunately, in the world that we live in, we do have people that don't care if we succeed or not. So in my opinion, the most important thing is finding the people that support you and stick with them, and try to keep going and making your decisions. I do a lot of podcast stuff. I listen to a lot of positive stuff. So that's part of my journey. It's been a huge part of my journey. So while I have this one person over here telling me that what I'm doing is not good for me, I have another person over here telling me I need to do more. So it's like, who am I choosing? So I always say, like, your input is just important as what's going out of your mouth. What you're putting in is
Yeah.
just important. And what you're listening to, the people around you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the huge thing is keeping those people and you're gonna hear me say this all the time. You've heard me say it over and over, and I've already said it once in the podcast, and you've said it multiple times. But yes, your journey is you. It is your journey and yours alone. And you bring people along too early. I get it. It could negatively affect you, but having those positive people who support you, who love you, who are going to push you, and then just the people that are going to be negative, just use that as fuel. Just
But sometimes
keep the
people aren't
positive
strong
people.
enough for that. Like, in
Right.
reality, some people don't know how
Yeah.
to use that for fuel. So you have someone that's
Yeah.
kind of on the fence of doing something, it's still better,
Yeah.
even though you can use it for fuel as you get stronger and as you built your habits and as you're on your right thing, then you can use that for fuel. But when you're getting started and you're kind of at your
Yeah.
lowest and you're just trying to get your feet on the ground, you have to have people that build you up. You have to. Or it doesn't even have to be
100%.
physical people. It could be people like you and I telling you in your ear, you got this. You're going to be able to do this. You don't even have to know the people. Like I said,
Yeah.
podcasts built my confidence well before any
Yeah.
person did.
100%. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like, you've got to be able to, like you just said, so you've got the people that are going to support you, and you've got those people that are going to drag you down. And if you're on that fence right there, so how do you do that? So if you're in that position where you're on the fence there and you're kind of new at this, what would be a piece of advice that you could give somebody where you can hold your ground? I'm going to change. I'm going to become the new Crystal. I'm going to become the new John. I'm going to become the new whoever. How do you hold that ground without burning those bridges, right? Because we're going to have people who are going to say, man, I loved hanging out with the old John better. Maybe
But John,
you're just not fun anymore.
honestly, we grow out of some people. Like, that's the reality. I'm not saying that it has
That's
to
it.
be a bad situation, but there comes a
Yeah.
time in your life where each person holds value in a different way. Like, I have friends for everything. I have friends that when I'm having a mental breakdown, I have friends when I'm having a great celebration. I have friends that meet my needs at different points in my life.
Yeah.
Not all my friends can be there for everything, but it's knowing who you need and who's
Yeah.
going to feed your fire. If you always have people around dimming your light, just go the other way. Don't even waste your breath.
Yeah.
Go the other
Yeah.
way. There's someone on the
Yeah.
other side that will build you up. I want to tell you really quick, in that instance, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself because this is deep and this is something that I've had to work on. So my
Yeah.
MO as a partner in a relationship is that when things get tough, I just quiet down and walk away. Because before that, my MO was being angry. So I'm like, I'm evolving. So I went from anger to now quiet and walking away. And now I've learned to stay. And I have never had somebody stay with me. So now I'm evolving in a way where now I can feel a certain way. I can feel weak. I can feel less than and all these things. And I still have somebody who's willing to sit in it with me for a minute to help me get through it. So if I can't stress it enough, it's who you're around. Like,
Yeah.
because it can go a million different ways. People people try their best and it's not always with harm or bad intention. But if you
Yeah.
don't recognize what's good for you and what's bad for you, you can get mixed up and end up on that wrong trail, going the opposite direction of where you're trying to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a amazing gift that you've got where, in those moments, especially now that you're trying to make that adjustment, right? Instead of just walking away or staying and blowing up, but staying and trying to be grounded. And you've got that person that can also stay in that moment and be grounded. That's a gift. Not everybody has that luxury.
I I've
So
never had that
that's
luxury.
amazing.
Never. I've never
Yeah.
been in a relationship where someone could stay and deal with my pain or my heaviness at that moment because they would be doing
Yeah.
the same, running or whatever. So it's a very different place that I am now with my communication. Like
Mhm.
I've lived in anger for years because nobody could hear me, you know?
Yeah.
So it's very different to be heard and knowing where your tribe actually is. You know, sometimes your
Yeah.
best friend is your best friend for a reason. You know?
Yeah, having that sounding board, and that's why I always say this: if you don't have that sounding board, there's numbers that you can call, but if you find that person that truly will listen and not just nod, but listen and
Right.
hear you, that is a gift. Don't give that away.
Never.
We have people in our lives that shouldn't be there, and we've talked about that, right? On one of the last episodes, we were talking about those keys and taking your key back. But when you have those people that are like that, that's something to hold on to. That's something to, put that key in your pocket and lock that up and
Right.
secure it because you don't want to lose that. That's huge. So I'm so happy for you that you've got that right now. Because I mean, Cindy, supports me in so many different ways when it comes to doing this. Yeah, we bicker back and forth, but she is so huge to, yeah, great job. You like this client that I'm talking, this is probably one of the biggest clients that I've talked to that I'm trying to close right now. And, she's been huge to just, she's always asking, have you heard anything? How's it going? And just the fact that so yeah, when you have that person, just hold on to that. It's something that you really it's not a luxury that everybody has. And I think that we're two people that are lucky to have that at this moment. So we'll move on from that. That was good though. So on to the next kind of segment that I want to talk about with this. When you finally do start to act like the person that you're truly becoming, and you're finally becoming that person that you truly want to be. One mistake that most people make, and that's why Living 95 is the name, right? So this is going to take you a little deeper into why, when I started building Living 95, why it is what it is. When you start down that path, the first piece is the easiest, right? Everybody says starting is the hardest part. Well, get over starting. Once you get started, that first small little piece is the easiest. You're excited, the dopamine's firing, everything's going good. You probably have people being real positive behind you. The negative Nancy's really haven't stepped in yet because you're not fully there yet. And then we all decide to jump in head first. And we all decide to rebrand John, rebrand Crystal, rebrand ourselves, whether it's our mental health, our physical health, our jobs, whatever, overnight. And we decide that we're just going, okay, this is going so good. And we ram it right down our own throats, and then we burn ourselves out. And that's when we really need to, yes, keep the momentum, keep the fire burning, stoke the fire, but also understand that Rome was, the saying is true. Rome was not built in a day. Small, consistent steps are going to keep that progress going. It will slow down. It will probably stop at one point. And if you haven't built those consistent habits that we talk about regularly, and that 5% hits you, and it's going to, you're either going to do one of two things. If you don't have that foundation, if you don't have those small things, you're going to, when all the negative Nancy's come in, you're going to say, yeah, they're right. Why am I trying this? It's just easier to go back and crack a beer with them, or whatever that change you're trying to make is. Or you're going to push a little further, and then it's going to get even harder and you're going to quit. You have to, we are not all David Goggins. And if you are, like I said before, and I'll say it again, God bless you. Some of us can, push and go through it all and never have a hiccup or a failure, and push, and even if you get hurt, you keep going. I promise you, if you're listening to this podcast, that's not you. And if you are listening to this podcast and that is you, let me know in the comments. But I'm not listening to average Joe John talk to me about any of this stuff. If I'm David Goggins, I'm out running right now and running and gunning. And maybe I have a podcast going in my ear, but it's, it's Mel Robbins, or it's one of the big ones that you're always, hear everybody talking about. So if you're listening to this podcast, take this away from this. Go back and listen to our last few episodes. We talk about it almost in every one of them. Those small, consistent things that you build along the way are going to help you when you hit that hurdle and it just seems like everything came to a crawl. That's why it's living 95. You're living in the 95% that you're building, and it's good, but you're preparing for that 5% by building those small little things, the journaling and all of that. So I just wanted to get that out there, because when you're finally starting to become that person, it's going to stop at some point, whether it's weight loss and you're going to hit a plateau, or it's building a business and the first hurdle hits, right? Something falls through, or you get to the end of the year and you're not where you need to be, and you've spent a ton of money and you haven't made any money yet, or whatever that happens to be. If you're lucky enough to succeed the entire way through, God bless you. I wish you the best. But preparing and doing those small things that will make it so much easier when you get there. How do you kind of deal with that situation, Crystal? When you were kind of, you changed a lot all at once, kind of like I am. You were on a health journey. You started a business. You're doing a lot of things all at once. I'm sure you hit a lot of those hurdles, right? And those small, consistent things, if they weren't there.
Yeah, I'm really into intuition though. Like I really try to listen to my inner self. Like I try to be quiet sometimes, because sometimes I don't know the right answer. So that's something else I'm trying to learn more about. But um, hurdles are always going to happen. Like I try not to fence it. I try to make a decision, and if it's not the right one, then I just make another decision. So I mean, I try to keep it pretty simple. But there's a lot of hurdles in weight. There's a lot of hurdles in everything, but consistency is number one. And I feel like discipline's huge. People look at discipline like it's a bad word, but it's really learning to respect yourself and what you need.
100%. That's the whole point. Like you just said, you're keeping it simple, and that's why when those hurdles come, there are gonna be tons of them. But when you keep it simple, that consistency and that grind becomes easier, because you've made it so many small little things that you just chip away at. I think that's the biggest thing is, and at the end of the day, if you're doing that successfully, even the people who were there with the old you are going to see it, and they're going to come along. And if they're not, you're going to leave them behind. And I hate to say that. And I hate to ever be a negative Nancy on this show. But that's the truth. And you kind of hit it on the head. If there's people that are dragging you down, just, you can't look back at those people. And if you do, just use it as fire to push yourself forward.
And you can leave people behind and be kind. You don't have to leave people behind and be rude or wrong. They don't even have to know they were left behind.
Yeah.
You just keep guiding yourself to where you need to be, and it'll all work out, really. I mean, I've never left anybody behind and did it in a bad way. They didn't even know they were left behind. I showed them very nice and went on about my business, but some people just didn't fit me anymore,
Yeah. Yeah. How many of you out there listening, think about that? And it doesn't even have to be that you were making a change in your life, but think about here. Let's go back on the Wayback Machine. Okay. You're in high school. We've all got a million friends in high school. How many of those people do you truly still even say hi to? You might still have your best friend since high school. And if you do, that's awesome. But that's probably one, maybe two of the people that you knew. You didn't intentionally, no, it's just we grow, right? And we
Yeah.
evolve as human beings.
People start
And
families, people get different jobs,
yeah,
people move. Yeah.
and that goes the same way, right? So if you can't evolve in life, you get married, you have children, you evolve, why can't you look at your health, your growth in life, the things that you're trying to better for yourself? Why can't you look at that the same way? Why do we all fear that change that, oh, yeah, well, yeah, people aren't going to even, want to talk to me anymore because now I'm the non-smoker, non-drinker, non-whatever that path that you're on is. At the end of the day, be brave enough to be new at something. Stop letting the fear of change stop you from even starting. If you continue to let that fear of that newness of change stop you, you're never going to change. You're going to continue to do the same old, same old. And if you truly want to fix your health, if you truly want to fix your career, if you truly want to make the money that you truly want to make, if you truly want that new relationship, if you truly, whatever that change that you want, it could be buying a car. You have to start somewhere. You can't be afraid of making that leap. And if you're constantly letting the people that you were around in the past tell you that you're not going to do it, you'll never will. Stop. They call it imposter syndrome for a reason. You feel like an imposter in your new skin. You feel like an imposter in your new role. You feel like, oh, yeah, I shouldn't be talking about this. Here, I'm going to tell you straightforward, and hopefully everybody understands this. And Crystal, I'm sure you can understand this. At the end of the day, as long as you are better than you were yesterday, how are you an imposter?
Right.
You don't have to be perfect. When I'm listening to, when I was starting my podcast, right? When I was starting this, that Crystal's now with me, and I was starting to build Living 95, and I'm trying to put this out there to help people to get healthy. If I would have said, I'm going to wait until I have the six pack, I'm going to wait until I'm at 160 pounds, I'm going to wait until I have all the perfect equipment, and I'm going to wait until this, I would have never started.
Never.
And by the way, as I was learning this stuff, okay, I'm learning how to do podcasting. The people that I gravitated to the most, the videos that I gravitated to the most, and this is where Living 95 comes in, are the people that are still in the grind, the people that are still learning, the people that have been doing it since YouTube started, when it was really easy, when podcasting first started and it was really easy because there's no competition, and now they're famous and they got these big shows. Yes, I listen to those because I like some of the motivational speakers, and I like listening to Tony Robbins. I like listening to these people. But when it comes to real advice, I want to know from the person who's in it still. So how can you be an imposter if you're truly in it and you're truly striving to move forward? So if you constantly worry about, well, I'm not even there yet, no, be you. You're moving forward. Don't be afraid, and get rid of that excuse. There's enough excuses to stop us from becoming the people we need to be. Don't let that one be the excuse. You've got a million other excuses. Oh, I love ho-hos, or oh, I can't afford to. Oh man, if I take this risk right now, man, I could be broke. Those are real excuses, right? Now, loving ho-hos is not a real excuse, but I do. But my point is, there's other real excuses. The excuse of, I'm not that guy. Yes, you are. You've come this far. You're battle tested. I would rather get advice from a person who's battle tested, who's been doing it for 3-4 years and still through the battle than somebody who's been doing it for 20 years and probably can't even remember where they started from, and they're trying to tell me advice. Don't be afraid to become the real you. Take that step. Take that leap. Stop letting the fear of what people are going to think of you hold you back from your dream, whether it's to be healthier, whether it's to be skinnier, whether it's to be mentally healthier, whether it's to quit smoking, drinking, starting a business, whatever it is. The fear of what other people are going to think of you should not be one of those excuses. We've all been there. I've been there. But why do we let that excuse run us? At the end of the day, and you kind of talked about this, and this is going to kind of bring us full circle. Here's my challenge for everybody that's listening. Check your circle, okay? You all have this circle of friends and a family. Who is cheering for the version that you're becoming, and who are the ones that are holding you back? Take that inventory. If that person is cheering you on, bring them closer, bring them further in, let them be more a part of what you want to do. And the ones that are holding you back, Crystal just said it earlier. You don't have to do it in a mean way, but leave them behind. Or the way I like to do it, let them fuel you. Let them watch you succeed. I don't even know what else to say with that other than just let them watch you succeed. Don't get lost in the transition. You don't owe them anything. You owe yourself the new version of you that you're going to become. And that old version of you that no longer exists, just leave it behind. Anything else on that, Crystal, before we wrap up for this week?
Keep your circle tight and close. Know who you're dealing with.
That's it. Yeah. Keep that's perfect. Keep your circle tight and close. The ones that are there to help you and push you forward, keep them closer. And the ones that are holding you back, just put them in the rearview mirror and just use them to fuel your gas tank.
Take that road trip.
Take that road trip. Flip the penny. We talked about the penny game. But yeah, just do what you need to do. Don't worry about everybody else. If anything that you take out of this, don't worry about the naysayers. They may only be in your head, first off. And if they truly are naysayers and they truly think that you're going to fail, show them different. Show them that you've got this, that you're doing this for you, not for them. And we'll just wrap up this week. We appreciate everybody for listening. We appreciate everybody for coming along this ride with us. And once again, if you're feeling that identity shift and you need a place just to be you, stop into Crystal's Treasure Box out in Vermilion, Ohio. She's built a space where all of those things, you can find unique pieces that'll fit who you are right now. As you're growing, I think you'll find something that you'll really like out there. So go see her at Crystal's Treasure Box, where she has something pretty much for everybody. And then while you're at it, if you're online and you're a creator out there, if you're trying to build your new brand, but the tech is kind of making you feel like an imposter because it's so overwhelming, let me help you get through that, and let me help you make that just easier for you. I can handle the entire production systems for you so you can focus on the evolution of your mission. So as always, guys, stay healthy, stay balanced, and keep driving forward. I'll see you next time.